How am I fucking gonna explain Trump denier?
Hello, everybody. We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame. I don't remember what number this is.
You want me to find it for you?
154. Feminist Trump-denier scores gotcha on Andrew Wilson, our play-by-play.
Yes, I was the one who devised the term Trump denier, which I don't even know what it means, so guys can start speculating. It just
denies the existence of Trump. I guess.
Denies the existence. Like, who knows? Does he really exist? Perhaps he is the greatest AI fake of human history. I don't know. Like, obviously that's bullshit. But you guys can start your conspiracy engines, and we can get a definition for this term. But yeah, so essentially there was a kerfuffle. I would say fracas, but I don't know if anybody knows how to pronounce that. Fracas. But so, and actually it was Brian who brought this to my attention. I think this is what you brought to my attention, or did I just zero in on this like you
know what? I'll give you the backstory. I was literally you were asking about doing something about this like pro-life YouTube PSA thing, the sketch. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to say, hey, I'm listening in on an X space that involves Andrew Wilson and a bunch of feminists, and they're like debating him on X, like in an X space, which is a live space on X. And then you grabbed this random X tweet and said, is this it? And it's completely not it. It was something else. But we ended up going down this rabbit hole. So this is not at all what I was talking about. But the thing I was talking about would have been, the X spaces, they can go for hours. So yes. I didn't really want to make that the topic.
Well, apparently so can whatever podcast.
Yes, the whatever podcast.
5 hour.
6. A 6 hour stream. Yes.
A 6 hour stream that this is from. That this was cherry picked from. So the drama that I saw when Brian directed me towards this stream was not, I guess it was somewhat related to the stream, because it seems like I don't know everything, right? I'm coming into this a little blind. So I look at the timeline. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is a situation where Andrew Wilson was taken out of context by a feminist who then created a clip. I don't know if did the clip go viral?
This one?
Yeah, like maybe we should put up that.
Not it doesn't. Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah. Okay, right, so maybe let's back up for a second. Okay.
All right. Let's
so
back up.
The X space was just something I happened to come across, and it was called, "Is Andrew Wilson a net positive or negative?" That was it. And I was like, I wonder what this is. I think I'll listen to it anonymously. And it turned out to be a shit show. But this clip is just one of many that are floating around. And the reason for that, in case you guys don't know, is that Andrew Wilson has become something of a notorious figure in feminist spaces. They hate him because he's right. They hate him because he demolishes their arguments. They hate him because he goes on the whatever podcast as a regular. He's basically the second host after Brian Atlas and demolishes people in debates. This is just the reality, okay? And so because of that, they despise him because he's exposing them. And they will take whatever they can to make him look bad. Like, for example, not long ago, he was debating a feminist that I guess was a regular, regularly appears on Jubilee. And he was, I didn't watch the whole thing, so because I don't really watch a lot of Andrew Wilson stuff because I know what most of the arguments are. But my wife, Lindsay, watches a lot of them. And in this debate, he ended up, for whatever reason, there was a challenge to open a jar of olives, and he struggled to open it because it, according to him, was greased up. And that became the whole show. Now everybody's like, oh, you couldn't even open a jar of olives. You are a failed man. As an example of how weak the arguments are because they don't have any. So anything that feminists can use and their enablers, they will use. That's basically what it is. It's complete weak sauce. So this person, their account is, well, they're not the person who made the video. The person who made the video is named Potty Mouth Pollyanna.
Oh, great.
And then this was shared by somebody named MAGA Cult Slayer. Okay.
MAGA
And it says this, yeah. And then this, and it says this man should be locked up for even attempting to make this argument. It should be considered hate speech, of which, okay, just as an aside, this gives me a little bit of a chuckle. You have the absolute nerve to put an American flag in your bio, and you believe in the concept of hate speech. You deserve to be slapped in the face. But anyway, it should be considered hate speech. I agree with her. Drop your pants and let's find out. And now we will listen to the video that Potty Mouth Pollyanna shared. And she is basically telling us what Andrew Wilson actually means with this caption that says, "This is why we chose the bear." Andrew Wilson, quote, "Grape isn't always bad," end quote. So let's give this a listen, because you guys got to hear this.
Grape is bad for certain people.
No.
For certain people.
No, it's bad for everyone.
No, it's only bad for certain people. Here, like there's women, you agree, who have orgasmed during essay.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay.
Bro.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay. Are you kidding me?
Bro, I didn't say whether or not it's essay. I said during essay.
Yeah, what does it have to do with anything?
Well, bro, if that's the case, right, then was it bad for them?
What the fuck did you just say?
Bad.
Let her finish. Let her finish.
Stop. There's no carve out. There's no examples of women where it's not. Assault is always fucking bad. But since you seem so keen on this little theory, how about you bend over, drop trowel, and let some guys test it out on you? See if at any point you fucking enjoy it. Imagine being the kind of despicable person who's defending essay, who's suggesting that women could enjoy it, therefore it's not bad. Assault is always bad, and only predators would make the argument you're fucking making.
Okay, before we get into this drama, can we just pull up that information that I sent about Mary Koss? Like, because she's laying down some pretty strong talk here.
She's okay. Where is the Mary Koss thing? Because I don't see it. Did you give it to me in the?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
When was it? The last thing you sent?
Yeah. It's.
Oh! I see it. I see it.
It's in there. It's a little bit lower down. Yeah.
I see it. Let me just let this load up.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, well, let me see where it is. Okay. So
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this was my sort of facetious response to this. Not sure why the feminists are up in arms. He's just quoting feminist Mary Koss, originator of the 1 in 4 myth. Also, I might add, she is a feminist in good standing. She still gets jobs as a consultant on sexual assault. And she has not been excommunicated from the sisterhood like Camille Paglia or Christina Hoff Sommers. So this is a feminist's feminist. And she, who also said, and she was the originator of the 1 in 4 myth, which feminists use consistently and constantly, who also said that rape can't be considered rape when a man is a victim of a woman. It's just ambivalent consent. And it's because she says that, you know, this is a pleasure that men get from women. And so, you know, it can't be taken from men. And this is why I find it so interesting that she didn't use, like when she was talking about this feminist who was putting Andrew Wilson on blast, she didn't use the obvious reversal, which would be, well, why don't you let a woman rape you, Andrew? You know, and see if you like that. Because she buys into the same framework as Mary Koss, who incidentally not only argues that it isn't rape when women use force like weapons to have sex with men, she argues that it shouldn't even be like it should be its own thing. She called it made to penetrate because presumably maybe the researchers at the Center of Disease Control push back against surprised, totally enjoyed and wanted sex. But anyway, I just find it really richly entertaining. Could you just go back to that previous tweet and let's listen to what she says about people who say that others can enjoy rape. again.
What? Go to his clip,
No,
or you mean like her response right
Her
here?
response. Yeah, her response. Let's listen to it again.
Okay. Just waiting on this thing to load up.
Yeah. We need
the
loading
case,
music.
right? Was it bad for them?
What the fuck did you just say? It's always bad. Period. Full stop. There's no carve out. There's no examples of women where it's not. Assault is always fucking bad. But since you seem so keen on this little theory, how about you bend over, drop trowel, and let some guys test it out on you? See if at any point you fucking enjoy it.
Again, she didn't use a woman, she used a man. So she didn't do a reversal. And that's because she believes that it isn't rape when women do it to men, and probably believes it isn't rape when women do it to men because, of course, men enjoy it. Funny how that works. And it's funny how we allow feminists to use this argument when, again, feminist Mary Koss used exactly that argument to completely discredit male victims of sexual assault and also hide them in the statistics that and eventually inform policy in terms of how we treat male and female victims of sexual assault. And for those of you who are like, oh, but she's right, you know, it's not. When we look at the outcomes for victims of sexual assault, men also have, well, when you don't ask them, because men will, if you ask men, you know, was this a terrible event? They'll probably say no. So what you need to track is work lost. So days at work lost, education lost, like days in education lost, unemployment, drug use, suicidal ideation, homelessness. So these kind of adverse outcomes. And when you track the adverse outcomes, yes, we find out that men are indeed quite harmed by sexual assault against them. Male, whether or not the perpetrator is male or female. I know this is a surprise to everyone, but strangely enough, in our pair-bonding species, men also develop feelings when they have sex. I know there's a lot of argument against that, but to be honest, it doesn't seem like it's completely holds out. So you can actually use the forcing sex in order to harm men. And again, this woman obviously buys into the rhetoric that if a grape victim enjoys the rape, then it's not rape because she didn't even use the reversal. Yeah. Did you want to say something, Brian?
Just, you know, the thing that's also interesting about this is that, okay, I think it's safe to assume this woman is a feminist. What's shocking is that she can take this clip, which is out of context, and we're going to show you what was actually, like, what the full context of this clip is, and then show it, and then immediately go, what the fuck did you just say? Acting extremely shocked and appalled, as though that alone is going to influence everybody around her to side with her, while also simultaneously claiming that we live in a society where she should have been dismissed. And what's even the best part about this is that she actually should be dismissed because she is lying right to our faces. So, like, just her reaction, her what the fuck, like this whole like, no, you didn't. In a world where we supposedly don't give a shit about what women say, she presumes that we're supposed to give a shit about what she's saying, even though she's lying, and so we shouldn't actually give a shit about what she's saying. So let me play it again and look at her, because this is the way these people work. Her appalled reaction, which is a lie, because she knows it's a lie because she found this clip. But she is acting like absolutely shocked that this even exists on the internet, which again is counter to the narrative that this should be common and men shouldn't find it at all insulting in the made up context that she created. You see what I'm saying? Like she's made up a fiction, used this clip to stand by that fiction, and then acted shocked at the fiction. And the shock that she's presenting, we as the people who oppress her are supposed to give a shit about, but we don't, because she's lying. So let me play it again so you can see this.
Bro,
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay. Are you kidding me?
bro, I didn't say whether or not it's essay. I said during essay.
Yeah, what does it have to do with anything?
Well, bro, if that's the case, right, then was it bad for them?
What the fuck did you just say?
See how she does that? You're supposed to be appalled because she's appalled. This is what women do. They can like get you to feel the way they're feeling. This is why we've said this in entertainment, right? When you want to tell the audience that they should be shocked or depressed or afraid or something, some kind of emotional reaction, they cut to a woman reacting. That's how you know, oh, this is a bad thing because the woman is upset. So she's doing this. It's the same tactic. So anyway, is what he said not appalling? No, you don't have the context, dude. It's a lie. And we're going to show you it's a lie. So
Yeah, we're going to show you.
That, and that's the thing. Like, if you like a woman who acts appalled and she's lying can get a man thrown in jail or murdered, lynched, and we're supposed to sympathize with her without being aware of the fact that she is weaponizing her, like our desire to protect women against people. And that's what this woman is doing. I mean, it's really plain. Like, it's not like it just is. Like, we have to understand that women have this power and sometimes they use it for evil. And that's what this woman is doing. We'll get to the context in a second, but go ahead, Al.
Yeah, we'll get to the context. Maybe not in a second, because I want to go through some stuff, some context here, especially feminist context. Because again, feminist Mary Koss has essentially said that men can't be raped because they enjoy it. It can't be considered the same as rape. And we can go through the actual evidence of this. Do you have the ability to sign into SoundCloud? Because I'm trying, and it's the only way I can. I want to listen to what Mary Koss has to say about male victims of sexual assault.
I don't have a SoundCloud, I don't think. I don't know if that matters, but
yeah, I mean, I can try to log into it. It's just that I found this clip, and I think it's really critical. I mean, I'm doing research as we go through, but I'll give you the exact link to it, and you see if you are able to do anything with it. Sorry, guys, but until we do, we could look at this, which is my link in that thread. I'll send it to you as well. This is Taman's writings. He's a researcher into this kind of stuff, or at least an interested lay person, and he's been at it for as well. I've known about his writings for 10 years more. He was at it when I was back in like the Feminist Critics blog like 15 years ago. But he's been sort of. I got
the SoundCloud thing to open. But do you want me to play the whole thing? Because I don't know how long it is. It's like 10 minutes long. Like, how much of it do you want me to play?
Well, let's just let's play it and we'll skip forward if necessary. I don't think we're going to be hit with a copyright strike.
Can a woman rape a man? It's a subject we don't hear in the news very often, or anywhere at all. Rape in any situation is hard to talk about, but female-on-male rape faces its own brand of trials and hardships. Skepticism, for one. Today, we look at the problems of male survivors with female perpetrators. How do they deal with the aftermath of a trauma that some don't even recognize as possible? Reporter Teresa Fung has the story.
I might have to jump ahead, I think.
Yeah. Not that far.
In year 2007, Charlie met a woman on a dating site. Let's call it.
You know what? I actually think this
Charlie
context is good. I think if we listen to the whole thing, it'll be fine, Brian. It'll be fine. We'll get back to it. I think it's necessary.
Over the next few months, they did what normal couples do. Went on dates, talked about their past lives, and became intimate. It didn't take long for Charlie to realize Diane had her handful of problems. She was going through a rough divorce with her second husband, and her first husband had died in a car accident. All this and more would lead to an unforgettable New Year's night in a way Charlie said he never saw coming.
So it was New Year's Day, we came home, and she was just a completely different woman. She was visibly upset. We get back to her place, It had been a long day for me, so I said, I'm going to take a little nap. I went to the kitchen, got me a soda, and I drank it. Next, I was lying on the couch and she's out like a light, and she's on top of me.
It's a familiar scenario. Date night, a spiked drink, and waking up from what could only be described as a nightmare. Except in this dream, Charlie isn't playing the part of the boogeyman. He's the victim.
I wasn't sure what was going on. I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? She goes, shh, just lie there. I need this. So she had her fun, and then she put her head on my chest, and she goes, now you can take me. I said, whoa, I was able to push her off. I got up and said, what are you doing? She just looked at me and said, listen, this is what you want? Not like this. It doesn't have to be like this. And I just got up, I dressed, and I left, and that was it.
After he left that apartment, Charlie drove home. He says he felt embarrassed, violated, and confused. He says before that night, this was a reality he never imagined possible for himself.
Never in my wildest dreams would I even imagine it. Not only from her, that would even happen to me. And with Diane, I never, in my wildest dreams, never envisioned it. Never this happening.
The struggle which male rape survivors face is not greater or lesser than that of female survivors, but it is different. For one, men are asked if it's even possible for them to be raped by women. Dean Esme, the managing editor of men's rights
that's a
website
blast from
A
the
Voice
past.
for Men, says he was once a skeptic himself.
A lot of people have a hard time imagining it. I had a hard time imagining it until I realized that it happened to me. Until I started doing the kind of activism work we do, and I began talking about this and publishing the work of other men.
Esme works on a regular basis with other male survivors. He says female-on-male rape survivors face skepticism, which often seems harmless, but is far from it.
And we teach guys to laugh about those things. We teach women to laugh about it. Oh, come on, you liked it. Oh, come on, you know boys are looking for it, are always asking for it. What this amounts to is a gross cheapening of male sexuality.
Esme says these ideas on male behavior are not just in our conversations. It's on our TV and computer screens, too.
I've seen it on MSNBC. I've seen it out of conservatives. If you're male and you had sex, you must have wanted it. You are lucky. I get it all the time, even on a personal level. Places like Twitter and social media, male victims of female perpetrators are routinely laughed off.
Reactions like these are common, making male survivors feel like they aren't legitimate survivors. Sharon Imperato is a male trauma specialist at the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center. She says the way society views gender hurts male survivors.
I think the idea that if a woman approaches a man and wants sex, that he's supposed to want it. And if he doesn't, then there's something wrong with him. Women will sometimes use that and say to them, you're less of a man. If you were a man, you would have sex.
Imperato, who works with men and women, says there's a key difference between how male and female survivors react. The men who come to see her at the Rape Crisis Center have a hard time calling what happened to them rape, even if they were molested as children.
They will say things like, well, when I was younger, I had sex with this woman. And so you have to ask questions like, well, how old were you? I was 8 and she was 16. We would already know that that's statutory. Men don't necessarily see it that way because, again, they're taught I'm supposed to always want sex, no matter how old I am. They're going to think that it's quote unquote having sex when you and I recognize it's actually rape.
Can a woman rape a man? For Charlie, Dean Esme, and even Sharon Imperato, the answer is an overwhelming yes. Not only is it possible, it's what they deal with every day. But besides the talking heads on TV or people behind keyboards on the internet, there's one powerful voice that says no, the law. The definition of rape by the FBI reads, quote, penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without the consent of the victim. Under this definition, being made to penetrate someone else is not rape. A woman who drugs a man and then has intercourse with his unconscious body did not rape him. It could be considered sexual assault, but not rape.
Sweetheart, please stop banging dishes. Just so you know, I'm not a man hater overall. I just dislike it when men
Oh,
clatter dishes when you're on the radio.
Dr. Mary Koss is a highly influential researcher in the field of sexual assault. In 1987, she published the first national rape study, which said 1 in 4 women are raped in college. Today, Dr. Koss is held single-handedly responsible by her critics for excluding male survivors with female perps under the FBI's definition of rape. Man-hater is exactly what they call her.
I know you didn't come here to do a debate about Dr. Koss, but people who speak like her are the problem. She believes hateful things about men.
Esme is one of Koss's many critics who has a big problem with the current legal definition of rape. Koss says one of the main reasons the definition does not include men being forced to penetrate women is because of emotional trauma, or lack thereof.
How do they react to rape? If you look at this group of men who identify themselves as rape victims raped by women, you'll find that their shame is not similar to women, their level of injury is not similar to women, and their penetration experience is not similar to what women are reporting.
But for men like Charlie, this isn't true. It's been 8 years since he got off that couch and out of that apartment. But he says he never forgets.
So what was it like to have like the first night of the year?
Okay,
It's
I think that we pretty much got
every New Year's
the
Day
gist.
comes back and haunts me.
So literally, we have a feminist saying it's not rape if you enjoyed it and you're a man. So it just can't be considered the same thing. And this feminist, she's not just a random on the internet. She's not a person who goes on the whatever podcast. She influenced the government to change how it actually tabulated statistics on sexual assault. Right? Now, I'm tired of feminists looking at this and using the outrage around rape in order to make these arguments. Like she's saying, how dare you? Like you pointed out, Brian, how dare you? How dare they? Until they clean house, I don't want to hear this ever again. Until they clean house. And this is a big problem. Mary Koss has huge influence over the statistics and the policy and potentially the laws going forward. And she has literally said men can't be raped because they enjoy it. That's her logic. And we are supposed to care about a hypothetical made by Andrew Wilson off the fly on a podcast, and this is supposed to, it's this great offense. Well, what the hell is Mary Koss then? Like, what level of offense should we have for this woman? And again, this is a misinterpretation of what Andrew Wilson said, but they're using a misinterpretation of what he said, and they are being utter hypocrites about it. Because all things held equal, I think it's a hell of a lot more damaging what Mary Koss did than any potential negative consequences of this hypothetical. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, am I out?
Well, they didn't misinterpret. They lied. This is not like an accident. They're not stupid. I don't want to insult them. What they're doing is evil. That's all it is. They lied. It is a lie about what somebody said in order to drive home a narrative, which essentially is, at the end of the day, it's ultimately about silencing people who are making good progress. And, that's it. And that's it. And she's acting appalled because she wants her simps and white knights to come out because obviously, like feminists, they don't do anything themselves. They appeal to men and then men do stuff. They appeal to the patriarchy and the patriarchy acts on their behalf. So that's what she's doing when she says, how dare you? Oh my God, you have no idea. It's almost like she's calling for her simps to anally rape Andrew Wilson to make a point. Like that's kind of what's in her video. I know it sounds really disgusting, but that's what I think she's doing. So,
yes. And again, she is lying about this, but even in the context, what possible platform could feminists have to make to gather outrage over rape when they do this? It's sort of like watching someone engage in like mass murder, and then you have a stake, and they're like, "Oh, look at you killing things." Like, really? You've just shot like a couple hundred people. Ooh, I wonder if in Minecraft, you know, you've just unalived a whole bunch, an entire village worth of people, and you are after me because I had a steak dinner, and that's, I don't know, meat is murder. It's like this level of hypocrisy that they bring to bear. Nobody should listen to them until they clean up Mary Koss when it comes to grape, because literally she's decided an entire gender can't be grape. What is one of the things that she said? I know I'm using this as a bit of a platform for this. Although men may sometimes sexually penetrate women when ambivalent about their own desires, ambivalent about these acts fail to meet legal definitions of grape that are based on penetration. And the legal definition is now changed, but she continues in policy, in the collection of stats, she continues to promote hiding male victims. And we have an ideology, feminism, that is trying to prove that men use rape and domestic violence. You know what? I fucking hate using rape and domestic violence, that men use rape and domestic violence to uphold patriarchy.
Yeah, we're all adults here. Let's use the words.
Yeah, who cares? YouTube, do your worst. Men use rape and domestic violence to uphold patriarchy. Right? That is the feminist ideology. Okay, that's what they're trying to prove when they get in the statistics and start messing around with crap. And yet now we've started to find out, with the big population studies and smaller studies focusing on just trying to figure out how to get men to reveal what's going on, we're starting to find out that the picture is a lot different. And actually, women may be equally likely to rape as men. Equally likely to rape men, and don't get me started on women raping women. They're doing a lot of that. So this is but feminists, because they want to prove that men use rape to uphold patriarchy, they're hiding this behind definition games. And Mary Koss is one of the biggest offenders of this. So when she gets out there and she starts pontificating, this woman, MAGA Slayer, starts pontificating about a man using a hypothetical that references rape, and she says, "Oh, how dare!" Like, literally, your ideology is trying to manipulate rape statistics to prove that men use rape to uphold patriarchy, which is itself is a horrifying. Like, I'm like reading this stuff. I'm reading the stuff that feminists are trying to push using the statistics, and it's like turning my stomach. And I don't get it. Like, all of the academics surrounding this cancer just were like, don't you think you need to substantiate your allegations here, feminists? You really are going to assert that men use rape to uphold patriarchy, huh? And then you're going to go into the statistics and hide the rate at which women rape men behind euphemisms like made to penetrate, a surprise sex. Oh, he didn't know he wanted it, but he really did. Ambivalent consent. All of this crap. You're going to make up all this crap to hide actual rape victims, turn around and start yammering at a guy who just makes a hypothetical. Like, you have lost the plot. Like, you fix that. And even you fix that, do penance and send back all of the money that you falsely got as supposed advocates for sexual assault victims. Then we'll talk. Until that moment, get back into your moral hole, your moral pit that you dug for yourself, and shut the fuck up. Okay, there you go. There's my rant.
Okay, so should we look at the context now of
yes,
the
look at the
clip?
context.
Okay, so the video again is Andrew Wilson saying, well, let's listen again, because you ranted a lot and I think people are going to forget. So let's look at this again.
Grape is bad for certain people.
No.
For certain people.
No, it's bad for everyone.
No, it's only bad for certain people. Here, like, there's women, you agree, who have orgasmed during SA.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay.
Bro.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay.
You listen to this. Just pause a second. when you listen to this in that context, he could 100% be calling out this feminist for making an argument that it's different for men because he has a man has an erection. I know he isn't, but it could be seen that way. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, but you're changing the conversation completely too, though. I mean, yes, it could be that, but that's not what that's also not the context of this clip. It's not about whether or not a man. Okay, I'm just saying because it's adding confusion. People are going to be like, "What is this about?"
All right, keep going.
All right, let me go back again.
Bad for everyone.
No, it's only bad for certain people. Here, like there's women, you agree, who have orgasmed during SA.
That has nothing to do with whether it's SA.
Bro.
That has nothing to do with whether it's SA. Are you kidding me?
Bro, I didn't say whether or not it's SA. I said during SA.
Oh, wait. But ambivalent consent. Okay, keep going.
Bro, if that's the case, right, then was it bad for them?
What the fuck did you just say?
All right, so that's the clip, and that's all she plays. And then, of course, she acts shocked and appalled and verklempt and just says, oh, my God, but what if this happened to you? SA, I hate to say this. Sexual assault and rape are very serious all the time, no matter what. Obviously, she doesn't really mean when it happens to men because she cheers on the possibility that it happens to Andrew Wilson to make a point. But what was it?
Can you believe? Okay, one more thing that just this is my, this is my thing. This is what got me into this. Is I just wanted male victims of sexual assault to be recognized proportionate to, how often it happens. And then I found out, oh crap, it happens half as often. And then I got into it with feminists, and then feminists were like, nope, you can't say this. And they made debunking feminism a condition of recognizing male victims of sexual assault. So it's my thing. The thing is that she is advocating sexual assault. And nobody sees that. Nobody says, wait a second, you're calling him out for a hypothetical while advocating that someone be sexually assaulted? Like, are you...
No, she just thinks it's a clever zinger, like it scores her points. And if you look in the comments, like a lot of people agree with it. I mean, I think she got 2,500 likes and 200 comments. I don't know if that's a ratio. I don't know how that works, but there are some people saying I am missing something. So when my wife wakes me up riding my dick, that's bad. So obviously you have some of these these male feminist types. Oh shit, what's wrong? What are you, gay? What are you, gay? What are you, low T? She's right, dude's a fucking weirdo. So they're all going along with it because again, it just exposes how little sympathy or compassion we have for men when they're victims, especially if we just decided we don't like them. And how do we decide if we don't like them? If a woman acts appalled by them. That's it. She acts appalled. Right. Oh, that guy's not a man anymore. He's now the enemy, right? Because he upset women, and you can't do that, So
I mean, it's
anyway,
just it's like she is so covered in shit and mud, and she's saying, "Oh, but you're filthy." No, lady, you're wallowing at this point. You have absolutely no moral basis to condemn Andrew Wilson. No moral basis whatsoever. Certainly not from a feminist standpoint. I think it's sometimes really difficult to recognize the horror of this. This is a government-funded ideology that is erasing male victims from the statistics. This is horrifying. Okay, but let's keep going. You're right.
All right, so here's the context where they're discussing hypotheticals.
Yeah,
you could never make a case why that would be bad.
I think so.
How?
Because I don't think that people should be choosing who other people's partners are.
Why? If that led to the best outcomes, you would have no argument for that.
So wait, then can I just make the same argument towards you about, you were talking about the whole incest and brother case?
What about it?
Then you're saying that there is a better reason as to why we shouldn't do that.
If it were the case, right? Then and you said it had the best outcomes, but you were still against it based on intuition. That's where you would have the inconsistency.
But I wasn't against it based on intuition.
You said intuitively, conditionally, you're intuitively against it.
Because
I literally told you the opposite.
Hold on, because I think for these cases, I think for these cases, our intuitions are responding to the very factors that we tried to stipulate out.
No, that's not always the case.
I think for this case, it absolutely is.
No, it's
Fine.
what are you talking about, bro?
Andrew, let me go back on my previous statement and say that if that situation that you provided, then yeah.
Then yes.
Sure. Yes.
Of course, because now you have to be consistent, because I pointed out yet another inconsistency. So of course
I don't remember saying that. I remember what I was doing.
Okay,
Andrew, what I was doing is I was contesting the realisticness.
No, who's being autistic?
Okay, maybe I am. Well, I mean,
yeah, I think you are. No, Andrew is trying to expose this guy's logical inconsistency because he's trying to pick and choose when something is okay and when it's not, because he's going off of like, oh, it's just like he's essentially saying that, like, you know, whether or not something is right or wrong is purely based on preferences. And Andrew was challenging that by saying, well, what about incest between two twin brothers? And then he's like, oh, well, you know, we societally understand that that's not, well, what if they want it? Well, he's not advocating anything. He's saying, this is your logical thread. I'm taking it to a place where, you know, you would be challenged to figure out, are you going to stay on principle or are you going to go off the rails? And that's what he's doing. He's just holding a mirror up to this guy's standards. And so that's how they get to this subject. So let's play some more
of your hypothetical and saying that
I mean, look, when you're dealing with these people that, like, essentially the guy on the right, the male feminist, okay, all they have, and this is something that I've been talking about for a long time, all they have is rhetoric. It's all rhetorical games. It's all juggling and magic tricks and word games and bullshit. And if you basically just boil it down and say, no, what's going on here? Let me make you look at this. Now you have to answer for this. Then you expose them. And that's what he's doing. That's what we did with, you know, like so many other fucking feminist commies that come on our show and they try to play these fucking shell games like, oh, but what does this word mean? And what is that? It's like, no, you're full of shit and I'm going to show you. And that's what's happening. And yeah, maybe it's autistic, but maybe it has to be. Maybe that's the only way you're going to be able to demolish these fucking people. But anyway.
I don't think that would be borne out. I don't think that would be borne out in reality. I don't think that
incest?
No, that it would be good.
How? Well, wait, what do you mean?
You're saying that if the satisfaction rates were in those incestuous relationships were through the roof, then would you think that would be a fine thing? I was contesting that I don't think that would ever be borne out in reality. So in the hypothetical,
okay, so I get it.
Proposed,
I get it. I think I get it. Okay, so what he's doing is he's using these extreme analogies to things that are very undesirable in order to ask him, is, you know, if this creates like if they enjoy themselves, how do you argue against it? If your argument is that enjoying yourself is the only metric, is that what I'm getting?
Right.
Is that
something like that? And the feminist guy is saying, yeah, but I mean, like, nobody does it. Like, he's basically saying it's an extreme case, therefore, and it's like, no, but your logic, it's like, you can't just say this doesn't happen enough. What you have to say is this is either good or bad and why, right? And so like a lot of these people, they don't want to, you know, make a qualitative statement about it. But let's
accept a hypothetical.
Why
that
wouldn't
has
it
no
be borne
bearing
out
on
in reality?
Do you think that incestuous couples, there would be children who would be happy with that?
Well, I think by your metric, yes, there would be.
No, well, I mean, we can look at the already presented data of heterosexual couples.
And I think if you had, by the way, an incestuous lobby, the same way you have a gay lobby, who paid for all the same fucking studies that showed the outcomes, that I could have a massive publishing bias as well for basically any data that I wanted.
Okay.
Because the truth is that most of these,
you're making an unfalsifiable claim that we're.
No, he's right. This is the same thing with the feminists. They quote themselves and then they say it's writ, and that's how they make their arguments. And now you have to be like, well, yeah, because your people made the studies, your people come up with the data, and it just so happens to support what you believe. Oh, what a shocker. The feminist academics, they all came up. It's the Mary Koss study. Why is it mainstream? Why is it in the military? Why is it being used in our university campuses? Well, because it came out of academia. Well, what's academia? Well, it's all run by feminists, and they all agree. How about that? Peer reviewed, the consensus, etc. This is exactly what he's saying. You could basically form a lobby around anything and justify it, right?
Yep.
So like this is like, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm interrupting your rant a bit, but I wanted to point out.
I basically made my point. Is essentially that this guy doesn't have a leg to stand on because he's going on. Well, if you look at studies, studies conducted by people who support these conclusions.
This narrative, these conclusions. Like, you look at Mary Koss. She literally says we shouldn't consider it rape because the law doesn't consider it rape. Well, how about you change the law? Yeah. Right?
And they appeal to the thing that they've created. Like, I changed the laws. Oh, it looks like we have to follow the law. Sorry, guys. It's out of my hands. I'm not a lawyer. I just changed it through academia over, a period of time.
I just changed it through policy. But I mean, and here's the other thing. Like, feminists certainly could change the law when it came to recognizing, for example, other forms of coercion as rape for when it happens to women, like having a drink at dinner. Oh, that's rape, that kind of thing. The mystery method. You weren't there for that. When me and I think Hannah and Karen went through the mystery method. Mystery method, mystery was a pickup artist. He invented things like or suggested things like peacocking. And one of the methods that he used when men are in a sexual relationship with a woman is to, if she gives you a no, or it's what's called last minute resistance, he advocated for the man to de-escalate completely. So if she gives you last minute resistance, get off the couch, go make a sandwich, get off the couch, strum a guitar, get off the couch, put on some new music, do anything but continue with what you're doing, the sexual activity that you're engaging in. And we read a feminist paper that said, this is problematic, and it's problematic because he could be using women's biology against them. Because when he does this, he's encouraging women to desire him, and by desiring him, he's manipulating them into sex. I shit you not.
Oh, I believe it.
There was a feminist paper arguing that men making themselves desirable to women, and my camera just screwed the hell up.
Oh no, you got to refresh it. Let me play some more of the video while you're fixing that.
Oh, that's
it's not unfalsifiable. I'll give you a claim. Here's the claim. Here's the claim. The claim is most LGBTQ and trans studies are funded by gay groups and gay adjacent groups.
Okay.
And that's who they're funded by. That is the truth.
Sure. And I've not looked into who funds every single study.
But I mean, that's why there's so much publishing bias.
Fine. Conditionally.
In fact, one of the biggest talking points for the left is that that's okay, though, especially in the trans community. It's okay that mostly it's trans advocate organizations who are paying for these studies.
Get rid of that
because, well, nobody
screen.
would look.
Huh?
I just want to get rid of that awful still. I look like a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
They didn't. And it's like, it totally ignores the bias which would go into people who wanted those results.
So, Andrew, what I think instead you should do, instead of merely saying that these studies are BS because of the organizations that are funding them, just point out what's wrong with the research.
Yeah, well,
that's a better thing.
I do often.
So then the first part.
So like trans research, when we're talking about brain studies, I can point all of that out.
Okay.
When we're talking about incest studies, though, this isn't even a thing which is willing to be studied, right? Mostly because men like me are like, fuck no, no way. It's unbelievably fucking disgusting, right? We intuitively are against it. But for you, the outcomes guy, right? You shouldn't really have any issues whatsoever if there actually is an outcome which is preferable.
Well, Andrew, you would for one, you'd have to be putting people directly in harm's way and saying you have to have like an incestuous relationship.
No, they're just already existing.
If it already exists, you should study. I mean, if they already exist,
yes, exactly. So if the evidence shows that it is the case that incestuous relationships by two willing partners, and there's, by the way, incest
lead to better.
There are incest groups which do advocate for these fucking things, not kidding, right? And make the affirmative claim that they're happy. It's an unfalsifiable.
No, I think they're wrong.
Yeah, you think they're wrong that they're happy?
Wait, no, wait. I think they're wrong that generally in these types of relationships that it does lead to the best outcome for the family.
So this is important. That's why I'm playing all this preamble. So you see how we got here. So this is a discussion about the outcomes guy who says, well, look, if people are happy, then let them do whatever. And so he is going to use sexual assault to make the case, well, if there are enough people who enjoy it, then there could be a lobby group for it, right? And that's the thing that this feminist is so upset about, or the feminists online.
So that's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. What if they just wanted to have that relationship and they just wanted to have it?
Without children or something like that? I think the ethics of incest is an interesting philosophical
They're twin
question.
brothers. Mm-hmm. What's the problem?
What's the problem with it if they want to engage in consensual activity? I think it is strange, and I don't understand it. Andrew, here's the thing, though. Andrew, well, I don't.
It's strange.
Andrew,
great argument, bro. It's strange.
Andrew, here's the problem: is if we go through, for example, I just took a bioethics course, and we were talking about the ethics of incest and the fact that it is really hard to pin down the exact wrong of incest when looking at it directly. If you remove the genetic factors, if you remove a lot of the familial factors, the problem is I'm not going to get into an argument where I'm defending incest.
But you already did multiple times.
No, I didn't defend incest.
You've defended it multiple times.
I did not defend incest because I said that's not the case. It will not be good for these people. So they should not do it.
The reason we sidelined, and I'm not going to let you kind of like evade the point, back to this idea of sample size, this is what we're actually talking about, which led to this. Why is it, again, that you think that if it is the case that when people get married virgins, right, they report the largest amount of happiness and their relationships stay together basically more than almost any other demographic, by the way. It's fucking insane. Like, why is it that you would not want to advocate for that in society, even if you didn't make laws, but you just made social advocation towards it?
I'm also not advocating in favor of like insane hookup culture because of what it does to a lot of people.
Answer my question.
Wait, no, I think that's fine. Absolutely advocate.
So what if we had government policy?
That's different.
Hang on.
Okay, continue.
Well, I don't understand. Don't you want government policy which says that being LGBTQ is okay?
Government policy which permits people to exercise
No.
their
Rainbow
rights?
flags in the White House?
I don't really care about that. I think I don't really care where the flags are. I think that's going to.
How about this? Don't you want feminist government policy? Don't you want Mary Koss defining great rape in order to promote feminist conjecture about reality? Like, I'm sure that this guy's a feminist, right? Don't you want to keep that? Don't you want that? I mean, if I asked you, would you say no, Mary?
Well, he would probably say it was like foregone. Like, well, we are like it's sort of like a no-brainer. So yeah, but yeah, I take what you're saying.
Rile a bunch of people.
But what would actually be the problem? There's no law which is restricting anything, but the government, right, and state organizations from the top down, right, promoted instead that people with low body counts and who are not promiscuous tended to report much higher happiness levels, and their marriages stayed together better. And for the health of the nation, they'd prefer to move a population towards that. What would be wrong with that?
I don't think there would necessarily be anything wrong with that.
That's what I advocate for.
Okay, and I'm not fully against that. I'm just saying.
You know who is? Feminists.
They're not entirely. No,
yes.
they're not entirely against it.
Which feminist organization?
Hold on. Here's the problem with this.
What?
Well, so he is defending feminism here.
The feminist guy?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but basically, what he's saying, this is the male feminist uses, like what he says, like outcomes, like statistical outcomes, to validate his position. And Andrew is saying, well, if we have data that shows that people who, are not sexually promiscuous have the highest rates of staying together in a family and all that, why wouldn't they promote that? And he's basically saying, well, I think it's okay, but who does oppose it is feminists, right? So they're getting into it.
You're saying that individuals advocating for that as a good lifestyle because it works for them and it works for other people.
Individuals working for that. What did I say?
What do you say?
What's my position?
Your position is that there should be government-funded propaganda. Is
that individuals?
Hold on, government-funded propaganda.
Individuals?
Wait, I was talking about the reason that feminist organizations would be against that government style of push.
Why?
So now
Why?
Because it is prescribing onto everyone a type of lifestyle
that doesn't
work for everyone. It's saying that you should do this.
Wait. What's the prescription?
The prescription is you should wait until sex to have marriage, or wait until marriage to have sex.
And the outcomes are better.
The outcomes can be better for certain people.
Well, no, for most everybody, the outcomes are better. At least from the reported data. When you say like certain people, it's like, okay, dude, yeah, I guess you could make the case that like grape is bad for certain people.
No.
For certain people.
No, it's bad for everyone.
No, it's only bad for certain people. Here, like
this is the clip. You see, this is why I built up to this. This is where the context for the clip that feminists are freaking out over comes from. He's exposing this guy's framework, right? By changing it to sexual assault to expose how basically absurd it is to say, oh, it's for certain people when the data shows it's not, right? The data shows something else.
There's women, you agree, who have orgasmed during essay.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay.
Bro.
That has nothing to do with whether it's essay. Are you kidding me?
Bro, I didn't say whether or not it's essay. I said during essay.
Yeah, what does it have to do with anything?
Well, bro, if that's the case, right, then was it bad for them?
Yes.
Why?
Absolutely. Why? Because there are overriding harms than just orgasm. I'm not saying that's not the case.
You see this guy getting triggered because he's using rape or sexual assault to make a point. He's not advocating it. He's not advocating it. Do you guys follow what's happened here?
Yeah.
Do you see what he did? And this
Yeah,
guy's
I'm
reaction.
saying, why can't he simply use this conjecture, this hypothetical that women hypothetically, there could be a situation hypothetically where women enjoy sexual assault hypothetically, and we have a feminist in the government arguing that male victims should not be in government statistics because men enjoy sexual assault. So this guy can't even use a hypothetical around sexual assault, but a feminist can go into the government and make that reality that men enjoy sexual assault, therefore they aren't raped by women. And this is my overall point. I know what your point is, Brian. You're clarifying that this was always a hypothetical. It was a hypothetical on the same line as the incest twins, except sort of with the incest twins, he was talking about, if they ultimately enjoy it, who's to tell them not to do it, right? If you're living by the pleasure principle, and if you're living by the pleasure principle, and there's a small subset of people who enjoy sexual assault, who's to say, why should we make laws against it hypothetically? I think that's where he's, this is like dynamite. I don't know if I would have gone there, but that I think you're right, that this is, like I said, it's a hypothetical. And if you're not going to let this guy use a hypothetical around, potentially like one woman ever, like the romance novel narrative, one woman ever, then how can you possibly defend what Mary Koss did? And that's just the context I want to bring. But you go ahead, Brian.
I was just say ultimately so the original post shared by this woman is that Andrew Wilson is advocating that women don't mind when they're sexually assaulted.
And that's not at all.
No, not at all what he's saying, but that's what this woman is presenting because she's a lying liar face. She's lying because she wants to destroy Andrew Wilson's reputation. So she's misrepresenting him on purpose to make him look like a bad person. Either that, or she's a moron that reacts emotionally to his hypothetical, which is really just him exposing the other guy's arguments, which is essentially to say the other guy, that what they're arguing about should something be promoted if there is a group of people who say they enjoy it without looking. So basically, if it's all like you said, the pleasure principle, like if people like, if you get like a group of people and they're all like, dude, incest is totally cool, I have incest, or whatever it is, pedophilia, which is a thing that people advocate for, maps are a thing, whatever, okay? And if the male feminist side of this is, as long as everybody's having fun, then there's no problem, right? And Andrew is saying, well, then by that logic, you can find a group of women, because I think he uses women in this specific example, that enjoy sexual assault. Therefore, we can make the argument that sexual assault is okay because it only harms some women, or there are some women who like it. And this is what is
harmed by it. And you honestly, you can. You can.
Of course you can. But that doesn't mean that. Yeah, but like, of course you can. It is possible. But what I'm saying is that this is taken. It's his way of exposing this guy's poor argumentation, his poor logic. And what the feminist woman is doing is running with it like Andrew's the one that's saying it. What's actually happening is that Andrew's exposing this guy's standards of logical inconsistencies. So
because he's monitoring, he's advocating based on a pleasure principle. So if more people enjoy their lives if they stay virgins until marriage, and that's men and women, not just women, then why not advocate that as a lifestyle choice? You know, why not throw virgin pride parades? Why not set aside days to celebrate virginity? Why not use municipal funds to do virgin stripes on like crosswalks? I don't know what that would look like. You know, why not do that kind of thing? You don't have to like mandate it in the law, but you could celebrate it. You could make it an attractive proposition. You could romanticize it. You know?
Yeah, I don't think he's actually advocating for this to be put into law.
Parades of people merely holding hands lewdly.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
Like, kissing is only for marriage. I'm being a little bit facetious, but you know, there's more than just like policy, like saying, okay, we're not going to actively persecute people who are gay, right? There's more going on. There is a lot of celebration and promotion going on. Right. And a lot of determining the narrative, like saying that people who are LGBT get special protections, that they can, they have words and people can't say those words to them, even if they do have their own slurs like breeder for people who are not LGBT. You know, it's like there is advocacy on a policy level. There is advocacy potentially on a legal level, and maybe just extend it to the maybe LGBT needs a V at the end, you know, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and virgins. Like, I'm being
I don't think people want that. Like, I don't think people want special treatment in that way, but yeah. I got a super chat. Oh, I should look and see if there was any super chats. I feel like I did not open Discord in my browser, so I wasn't able to look and see if there's just super chats here. Just give me a second. I'm sorry, guys, if you sent any.
I see here, Dan DiFilippo, $5.
Yeah.
Andrew is not nearly as smart as he thinks, but he's been doing it. He's a decent champion for us. Also, Brian, my Christmas time offer of brisket still stands.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that.
Okay. Not good. Bob 13 says, you guys are exposing him so well by taking 7 freaking minutes to explain Andrew's weird comment comparing policies discouraging hooking up with laws against sexual assault. No, because you are missing that he is talking to somebody who is looking at things in terms of a pleasure principle. And he's saying we shouldn't make laws against something as if a group of people enjoys it. And we shouldn't make laws for something even if most people would enjoy, or shouldn't have policies promoting it if most people enjoy it. We shouldn't have policies against it if there's a subsection of people who enjoy it. This is the principle, and this is sort of like this. He's exposing the pleasure principle for its inconsistencies when this man applies it. Because if you applied the pleasure principle to staying a virgin until marriage, then that's what the government should promote and should get rid of all of the subsidies for not doing that. Let's start there, right? If that's what you want to, if that's where you're taking, like you're saying, I'm going to follow the pleasure principle, then you follow it consistently to utilitarian generate the most pleasure. In this case, it's everybody stays virgin until marriage. Then everybody has the most the most satisfaction with their life. And that's what the government should promote. But then he says, but you know, there's people who that doesn't help, who don't want that actually that's not what they want. And he's saying, well, some people want things that are not very good for them. Do we make it a policy to allow to take away any kind of condemnation of things that just because a subset of people wants them? You know, some people want to be amputated. Should we have their legs amputated? Should we take away the laws against gross bodily harm if people amputate other people's legs? No. And I mean, this is like slightly facetious. Yes. I think that's the point. He's making these really extreme edge cases to try to prove a point about the pleasure principle and it being applied inconsistently here. So no, I don't think you're right. Not good, Bob. I think you are not a good Bob. All right, let's continue.
Oh, that's it. I mean, I don't know if you want to listen to more of this, but that's basically the clip in context. So, you know, we know that this MAGA cult slayer person, did you want to look at some of the clips that he sent us himself?
Sure, we could do that.
I don't know if I want to go because it's in your messages, your DMs, and I'd have to display the DMs.
I don't think that, do you? Because you should only be, oh, I see what you're saying. Do you want me to open it up?
No, actually, it wouldn't matter, Allison, because we'd have to see it on the screen, you know, unless like you want me to put something on top of it in OBS, which would be like a few minutes because I have to get something and do that. You know what I mean? Or
yeah, I know what you mean. My video is disabled again. I had to fix it. Another really shitty still. Sorry, like it's
that's all right.
I don't know what's going on in this case. I think there's might be a fault in either the socket or in the line, but sometimes the Osmo just freezes up. Okay, so yeah, no, I think we've pretty much covered this. We could. I really wanted to go into the that pro-choice thing, but we might be at the hour. So
yeah, I mean
the pro-choice ad.
Yeah, I know the price. I know that's that would be like another. That could be another show, I think. So
anyway, guys, I'll just give you a preview. There's a bunch of there's a group of pro-choice, like a pro-choice organization that put out what I would call a really male negative ad. And I wanted to go through it, but we probably don't have enough time today. So, we could look at those clips. I'm pretty sure you can just like the messages are just in the corner, and you can just open up that one. Like my messages are pretty weird. I mean, maybe that's a good reason not to do it. I mean, not weird. It's just people send me their crazy Twitter arguments.
Yeah,
and I don't want to get involved in this crazy Twitter. I do get involved in a lot of crazy Twitter arguments, but not this one. Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I mean, I don't know. It just seems private. That's all. I'm just saying.
Okay, Mango C4 says he could have used any argument. That was a strange choice. Yes, I agree. I think it was a strange choice.
It was to make a point, though. I mean, and here's another thing too. Like, if a woman had made a similar argument, would you also consider that a strange choice? Because it seems like when men make arguments like this, people get like really weird about men talking about anything that's remotely sexual, even if it's completely hypothetical and it's just like a logic-based thing. Essentially saying, here's your worldview. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna apply it over here and see how you react. And see if you're consistent, see if you have principles. And they don't, because they're like, well, I don't think that's cool. Well, but according to your worldview, yes, it is, if enough people support it. That's the purpose of this. It's a thought experiment. That's all it is, and he failed the thought experiment. That's all it is. Yeah, and so like the point is that I think ultimately what we're talking about here is, I think Andrew's trying to make the case that there is an ethical frame that should be applied, and it's not purely based on harm, because if you only place it on harm, then you can permit all kinds of things based on a metric that's difficult to measure, I think.
Well, let's just assume it's a bad argument.
Yeah.
Does it deserve being tarred with this brush? No. Does it deserve being lied about? No. He can make as many bad arguments as he can. I mean, if it was illegal to make bad arguments, everybody I argue with would be going to jail because they make terrible arguments. And like I see how this argument can lead to a lot of confusion. But again, he has every right to make a bad argument without being accused of being a rape apologist by somebody who's part of an ideology that literally blanket refused to recognize the rape of an entire sex.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just ridiculous. That's insanity. You know, get the log out of your own eye, feminists. Kick Mary Koss to the curb, and don't point fingers at this guy making maybe a clunky hypothetical, and even if it's a bad argument, don't lie about him. Don't make false accusations about what he actually said, right? Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly.
Do that
if you're able to just make a better argument, there's no need to like tar people and try to, you know, essentially demonize them.
About making everything overly emotional. Like I was talking to Karen yesterday. Oh my God. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday.
No,
God,
yesterday was. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, time is getting really strange. But yeah, I was talking to Karen yesterday about everything is becoming these incredibly emotionally judgmental arguments, in which no actual communication happens. If you think it's a bad argument, fine. You know, maybe it is a bad argument, but it's not like he's not a bad person. There you go. And she's saying she isn't saying this is a bad argument. She's saying this is a bad person. Well, again, and she's saying it from the platform that Mary Koss's platform. Okay. All right. So that's I think we covered this. Oh wait. Not good, Bob 13. My advice to men: build your relationships on mutual respect. Don't get caught up in political social theater. Just follow the golden rule. My advice to men: make sure she follows the golden rule. Like if you're both gonna follow if you're the one, make sure it's not one-sided. Make sure that it's not, expectations for thee, but not expectations for me. Right? That's something that I've seen that actually, strangely enough, it's something that I think actually works. At least what I've seen in our community. The only thing, like I mentioned this a few times, we have had, not lots, but a fair amount of relationship formation. Now 7 children in the last 5 years in our community, which is not that big. And all I do is say, guys, just set boundaries with women, right? If you're going to hold yourself to certain moral standards, hold her to moral standards too, right? And recognize that women are moral monsters every bit as much as men, and their choices matter when it comes to their morals. They need to choose not to be monstrous. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So, I forgot to do the things. Damn. If you want to send a message before we just, move on, you do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Feel free to send it after the show is over if you want. Very much appreciated, whatever you send. And also we're doing our monthly fundraiser at feedthebadger.com/support. And anything you put in that really helps. If you want to join the community, that's badgernation.online. And that's pretty much it. So thank you unless there was anything further that you wanted to talk about.
No, we're good. We can wrap it up. All right, then. Okay, so if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. There should be some links in the description to some of the resources we brought up on the show. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.